I said, Master, what will I do? He says, go on. Go on. You'll get there. Now that devotee state certainly was a state of hell. He had no control of himself. He was in misery. As he told me, I could see what he had passed through. So there is one illustration of what hell can be right here on earth. Now you may be subject to severe pain. Terrible pain, and yet you may be in a spiritual temple. The house of God. Still you can suffer that pain right there. So hell necessarily may not need to be a certain place. It is a state of consciousness. Now hell to the devotee. The humble devotee, the real spiritual man, can be a den of vice. If he finds himself in such a place, he surely is in hell. As far as his consciousness goes, and the effect of that place on him. Now likewise, you take a crook, or a criminal, or a wicked person, put him here with us now this morning, or in a spiritual meeting, he'll be in hell, and as soon as he can get out, he'll get out fast. So you see, hell is a state of consciousness rather than a place. I think we should realize that as we go along. Now one thing to realize is this, and this is the important thing, that hell really exists, but it exists only in the dream consciousness of God. That's the important thing. Because hell and all conditions are secondary to the one omniscience of God, isn't that so? Now God, it says in the Bible, created evil. You have read that. I read it to you 2 or 3 Sundays ago. God created evil. In other words, he created those things, that thing as evil, which will produce within us the consciousness of hell. God has created that. Strange though it may seem, the Holy Ghost, from which all things have come. There's one aspect, and these are the Master's words, the good Holy Ghost and the bad Holy Ghost. Because you can see a flower come up, a little plant, and it starts the most beautiful thing, and it isn't long before the bad Holy Ghost gets after it. And the bugs come, and all sorts of things happen to it. And if you're not careful, you'll lose your little plant. The same with babies. They're born with a pure bloodstream. It's long before the bacteria and bugs get busy, and then the evil force begins to work. And so I am trying to point out to you that this state of hell, or hellish consciousness, whatever you want to call it, exists only in the dream consciousness of God. And this worldly consciousness, astral consciousness, and the causal consciousness which has produced those 2 other realms is found in God's dream. That's the important thing. In delusion. Now I have given you the key to the way out. The way out of all hellish consciousness. Consciousness of hell is to get out of the manifested part of God. Get out of this delusion. Get out of this dream. Because in the unmanifested part of God, there is no state of hell. What is there? Those who meditate a little lift themselves up out of the duality of consciousness where hell exists, find only peace and the joy and the omniscience of God. Isn't that so? So we cannot say that hell doesn't exist on one side, but we can on the other side say that hell does not exist if we get out of the delusion of God into his omniscience, into his great love. We being children of God can do that. So hell does exist on one side in the dream consciousness of God, but not in his unmanifested state, not in his omniscience, not in his great sea of bliss, which each and every one of us can see it. If we lift ourselves from delusion, if we merge in the holy vibration, become one with the omniscience of God. And one thing to remember is this, that right in the holy vibration which produces the state where hell can exist, we find God, on whom you see the Spirit descending and remaining. It is those who see and feel the holy vibration and merge in it. It is they who baptize by the Holy Ghost. That is, God is in there, in spite of its dual nature. These things must be taken into account. Now going on just a bit, to point out to you that hell is a state of consciousness, hell is a product. This is the truest thing I can say this morning to help us all. Hell is the product of an uncontrolled mind and mental process. That's all. You think that over. Your mind is restless, uncontrolled, you're in that state, undesirable state, which carried to an extreme we call hell. Now, if you can control your mental processes and your thoughts and dismiss them, how can hell exist? It cannot. So, remember that hell is the product